If someone had told me that my dream relationship would end in front of dozens of people on livestream, I would have laughed. But looking back now, maybe I should have seen the signs. I met Kelvin during my final year at university. I was studying microbiology. He was doing business. We bumped into each other at a career fair. He offered to carry my folders and cracked the cheesiest joke about carrying my burdens in life too. I laughed, and that was it. We were inseparable after that. He was smart, funny, ambitious. He had this way of making me feel like I was the only girl in the world. We'd stay up late, studying together, sharing snacks, talking about our future. He always said, "One day, I'll marry you and we'll have the most beautiful kids. Twins, even." I believed him. By the time we graduated, we'd been dating for a little over a year. 2 years later, he proposed during a weekend getaway. It was romantic, perfect, and everything I ever wanted. My parents loved him. His family embraced me. Everyone said we were the couple that made love look easy. But behind the sweet smiles and promises was a secret, one that would ruin me. Kelvin never wanted to rush into having kids, and I respected that. He always said, "Let's build our careers first. Kids will come later." So when he asked me to go on birth control, I didn't think twice. I said yes. That was love, right? Sacrifice, timing, trust. But what I didn't know was that Kelvin wasn't trying to prevent a pregnancy. He knew I could never get pregnant by him because he was infertile and he had known all along. After the engagement, life felt like a dream. We moved into a small apartment, not fancy, but cozy. Kelvin was working as a junior consultant at a firm, and I had just started my internship at a medical diagnostics lab. We made vision boards together. He'd kiss my forehead every morning and whisper, "Soon, baby. Everything we've dreamed of is coming." But when it came to planning the wedding or starting a family, Kelvin always wanted to wait. "Let's just enjoy this stage," he'd say. "Rushing into marriage doesn't guarantee anything." At first, I agreed. Life was already so busy. Rent, bills, career goals. We pushed the wedding forward by a year, then another year. People began asking, "When's the date?" I'd smile and say, "We're just building our foundation." But inside, I was starting to feel uneasy. I wanted to believe he was being practical, but something felt off. Still, I held on to his words. I held on to us. The first time Kelvin brought up birth control, I thought it was romantic. He came home one evening with takeout, and while we were eating on the floor watching Netflix, he said, "Babe, we should talk about birth control. Not because I don't want a baby with you, I just think we need time." I nodded. He made it sound responsible, grown up, smart. And truthfully, I wasn't ready for a baby yet either. But what started as a discussion quickly turned into insistence. Every time I missed a pill or forgot to refill, he'd panic. One time, he even yelled, "Do you want to ruin everything we're working for?" It felt harsh, controlling, but I blamed stress. Now I realize he wasn't worried about an unplanned pregnancy. He was terrified of the truth coming out that I'd never get pregnant by him no matter what I did. There were signs, little things that didn't make sense. Kelvin never liked talking about children anymore. When we passed baby stores or talked about our future kids' names, something he used to love, he'd change the topic. He avoided doctor's visits too. Once, I found a prescription bottle labeled HCG suppression therapy in his drawer. When I asked him, he said it was for gym hormones. I didn't question it. He was sweet, but he always needed control from where we lived, to who I hung out with, to how I dressed at work. But he was never abusive. He was clever. He used soft words, guilt, silence. He made me feel like I owed him patience, and I gave it. Year after year. Despite the delays, I still believed in our love. We talked about wedding colors, possible venues, even honeymoon spots. We'd lie in bed, laugh about baby names, and even guess what our kids would look like. Ella Jr., if it's a girl, he'd say. She'll have your eyes. He looked so serious, so sincere, and I soaked in every word like it was a promise written in the stars. We agreed to start trying after the wedding. We even picked a date September next year. I marked it on my phone with a heart emoji. If someone told me then that everything I believed was a lie, I would have defended him, because I loved him too much to think he'd ever lie to me about something so big. I would later find out that Kelvin had been diagnosed with infertility 2 years before our engagement. He found out after a routine sperm analysis, something his older brother encouraged him to do before starting a family. The result? Non-obstructive azoospermia. 0 sperm count. He didn't tell me. Instead, he convinced me to go on birth control so I wouldn't realize the truth. He told his close friend Brian, but no one else. Not even his parents. His plan was twisted. He told Brian that once we got married, he'd discover the issue together with me so we'd face it as a couple. What he meant was, he'd fake the grief so I wouldn't leave him. Tasha was my best friend from university and 5 months pregnant with her second child. We'd grown up together, shared secrets, and laughed about everything. One day, I was venting to her about how hard it was planning Kelvin's 30th birthday. I wanted something special, something he wouldn't expect. Why not prank him? She said, laughing. He's always watching those TikTok surprises. I smiled. Kelvin did love pranks. She added, want my extra positive pregnancy test just to mess with him? I hesitated, but then laughed too. Okay, just a harmless joke. That decision changed everything. Kelvin's friends helped plan a surprise party at our apartment. Balloons, candles, streamers, everything was set. We even set up my phone to go live on TikTok so that people could join in. I held the test in my hand, nervous but excited. When he walked in, everyone jumped out, shouting, "Surprise!" He looked overwhelmed, happy, laughing. Then I stepped forward, held his hands, and said on camera, "Surprise, my love, we're having a baby." Everyone cheered, but Kelvin didn't. He just stared at me. At first, I thought he was confused, then maybe shocked, but his smile dropped hard. The whole room fell silent. "Ella," he said slowly, "how long have you been cheating on me?" I blinked. "What? I didn't cheat on you." Then he smiled coldly. "I couldn't be the father of that baby because I'm infertile," he started shouting. "Thank goodness I'm infertile. So this is how you would have made me raise another man's child?" I froze. "Kelvin, it's a prank. You're on livestream right now." He interrupted, furious. "No, stop. Don't lie." You could hear a pin drop. Brian dropped his cup. Tasha grabbed my arm. I couldn't breathe. "I've never told you," Kelvin said, now facing the crowd. "But I can't have kids. I've known for years." I whispered, "What are you talking about?" He looked me dead in the eyes and said, "If you're pregnant, it's not mine." He kept talking, like he'd rehearsed every word. "I was going to tell her after the wedding," he said to the crowd. "I wanted us to face it together, but clearly, she's been unfaithful." People started backing away awkward and stunned. "Live stream off," someone shouted. But it was too late. Screenshots, comments, viewers watching a woman get accused of cheating in front of everyone. And me? I just stood there, frozen. Not knowing whether to scream, cry, or collapse, the party was over. Just like that. Guests left in silence. Some couldn't even look at me. Brian mumbled something about needing air and disappeared. Only Tasha stayed by my side, her hand shaking on mine. I tried to speak, but Kelvin wouldn't let me. He kept talking, loudly, like he needed an audience. "I didn't tell you because I didn't want to lose you," he said. "But now I see I was just a fool." I snapped. "It was a joke, a prank." Tasha gave me her test look. I reached for the test, but my hands were trembling so hard, I dropped it. He didn't care. "So now it's all a joke? Do you think infertility is funny, Ella?" I stared at him in disbelief. "You lied to me for years and you're calling me cruel?" He walked out. That was the last time we were in the same room together. The next morning, my phone was blowing up. People were screen recording the live stream. There were Reddit threads, comments, DMs. Some believed me. Others didn't. Most were confused. Kelvin stayed silent on social media, but his friends didn't. One of them posted, "Pranks like that aren't funny. Some people are dealing with real pain." I wanted to scream. I wasn't the one who lied for years. I didn't fake infertility. I didn't emotionally trap someone. But no one cared about that. They just saw a woman saying, "I'm pregnant," and a man going pale. And to the internet, that was enough. I left our apartment. I packed 2 bags, turned off my phone, and moved in with Tasha. I couldn't breathe in that space anymore. Everything reminded me of him. The fridge magnets we bought on our trip. The couch where we cuddled every Friday night. The vision board still pinned on the bedroom wall. Every corner of that place was soaked in betrayal. Tasha tried to cheer me up. She even posted a TikTok explaining the prank, showing the original test packaging, and defending me. But damage was already done. Kelvin had planted the seed of doubt, and the world had watered it. I opened Instagram after 2 weeks. Big mistake. There were reels, memes, even stitched reactions from people saying things like, "Why would you joke about pregnancy? No wonder he flipped. He's infertile and she did that? She's sick. Nah, she cheated. No woman cries that hard over a prank." I felt like a villain in a movie I didn't audition for. People picked sides based on a 15-second clip. No one cared about the truth. They wanted drama, clicks, views. My mental health was spiraling. I barely ate. I couldn't sleep. And Kelvin? He hadn't contacted me once. Tasha sat me down one night. She said, "Ella, I think you need to ask yourself why you stayed." I wanted to be angry, but I couldn't, because deep down, I knew the answer. Kelvin was never violent, but he controlled everything. My decisions, my timing, even my emotions. He made me believe waiting was smart. He made me believe protecting his secret was love. But it was never love. It was fear disguised as romance. And I had built my whole future on it. There was a podcast episode about my story. 2 hosts debated for 40 minutes whether I had cheated or not based on a prank test. One said, "She's a manipulator." The other said, "No, the real manipulator is the guy who hid infertility." I realized something that day. It wasn't even about me or Kelvin anymore. It was about what I represented. Betrayal, trust, gender wars. Everyone wanted to project their pain onto us. But the truth? There were 2 betrayals that day. His and mine. I lost my job. Not officially because of the scandal, but they said the online attention was too distracting. My parents were ashamed. My mom kept saying, "This is why you should never joke with everything." I lost friends. Some never returned my calls. Others messaged once, then ghosted. Worst of all, I lost myself. I kept wondering, if I had never made that joke, would I still be planning a wedding right now? Would I still be blissfully ignorant, married to a man who never trusted me with his truth? One night, I posted my side of the story. No hashtags, no drama, just me, in tears, explaining everything from the prank to the years of birth control, to the lie that changed my life. It didn't go viral, but the comments were kind. Women opened up. Some had been lied to about fertility too. Others had been gaslit for years and finally left. I didn't need millions to believe me. I just needed to stop feeling like I had to be silent. And that night, for the first time in weeks, I slept peacefully. Kelvin and I never spoke again. I heard from Brian that he moved to another city for work. Still single. Still silent. Sometimes I wonder if he ever thinks about me. About us. About what could have been if he had just told me the truth. But then I remember something my therapist said. Lies don't protect love. They kill it slowly. And that's what happened. Kelvin didn't lose me because I pranked him. He lost me because he never trusted me with the truth. It's been almost a year now. I've rebuilt. I've forgiven myself. I've stopped apologizing for a joke that exposed a truth I didn't ask for. I used to think love was about loyalty, patience, sacrifice. Now I know it's also about honesty. If he had told me he was infertile, I would have stayed. I would have loved him just the same. But he didn't even give me that chance. He lied to keep me. And when the truth finally came out, he blamed me for it. So I'll ask you, like I ask myself every night before I sleep, was I the villain or just the final victim of his secret?
Thank you so much for watching. So, was Ella really the villain? Or was she just another woman who paid the price for someone else's lies? Let us know what you think in the comments. We read every single one. And if you've ever been lied to by someone you trusted, you're not alone. Hit the like button if this story moved you. Subscribe for more real-life confessions every week, only on Lies and Regrets, because sometimes the truth hurts more than the betrayal.